Welcome to the MuseCast, where we squeeze every last drop of inspiration out of Sunday's sermon.
You said you were ready.
Hi.
Hi.
I am ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, good. I want to start out today's show, Dan Kent, with the beef. I have beef.
With who?
Not with you, with Greg Boyd. Because I don't know if you realize this. He promised the people that we were going to go into the intricacies of dopamine addiction and getting off that ham. And I'm like, oh, I'm not doing that. What do you mean? We're going to go into the intricacies. I got nothing for that.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I actually have done a lot of study on neurotransmitters and neurobiology. I in fact in graduate school I did an entire paper on what happens in the motor cortex when you raise your arm like this.
Oh, for the love of God!
Yeah, it was 26 pages. 26 pages about what happens in the motor cortex when you do this.
Was it like a word a page, or was it like? How was that 26 pages, Dan?
Well, because what the paper does is it literally tracks what happens when a signal is sent down to the arm to raise up, and then what happens then is in response. So it's a chain of neurons, like billions of neurons, and there's literally an electrical charge that goes through, and then that contracts the muscle. And exactly. And in order for that electrical charge to go through, you need to raise the potassium level past a certain point in each neuron, and that's what creates the firing through the axon of the neurotransmitter.
Okay. How about this? How about we talk about how we solve the Chiefs' dilemma of not winning a game? That
the dynasty's over.
Doable to me than whatever you're talking about.
I think you can trace the downfall of the Chiefs to Taylor Swift.
Watch it, sir. This will be
distraction.
Yeah. Okay. I say we get on with the show because we are getting into some troubled waters, as the old song says.
At least you're not in last place, so
that's you're lucky. We're 5-5. All right. Happy Muse Day.
Happy Muse Day.
See everyone. Oh my goodness. Dan, we're supposed to get some. I was going to say some rain, some snow tonight.
Tonight?
Yeah. And I'm not feeling it. I object, actually. I'm not in the mood for it. I'm not ready. I object. Yeah. I vehemently object. So
I don't know what to say other than I'm glad I raked leaves this weekend, and that's good.
Okay.
I'm ready. I guess.
Right. Okay, great. All right. Well, I would rather you do something about that than share about your 26-page paper.
Oh, ouch.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
It was not. How about that?
No, don't read it. It was not a page turner by any stretch of the imagination. So,
okay.
Should I do a summary? Is that
let me properly. Oh, my cat's going crazy. Let me properly just welcome everyone and say he's Dan Kent. I'm Shawna Boren, and we are here to talk about the Beast of Perpetual Ascendancy. That doesn't just roll off the tongue, folks. That takes some concentration to say. I don't know. I don't think he got any feedback about titling that particular sermon, and that's okay. The Beast of Perpetual Ascendancy, Revelation 13. Chapter 13. And although Dan assured us that we were going to start clipping along, Greg said, hold the phone. We're going to hang out for a moment. And that, sometimes it happens. Yeah. Sometimes that happens. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have in my notes the Beast of Perpetual Ascent, not Ascendancy. So I'll have to double check that.
You will have it. Let's go look at the website.
Oh, you're gonna. Can you find that information on whchurch.org?
whchurch.org. That's where we go to find such things.
Can you find that on the WH Church app?
We could find that on the WH Church app. Yes, we could.
That's good
it's
to
amazing.
know.
Yeah,
it is. That's good to know, because a lot of people might not know that we have an app.
Well, now they do. And see,
Yes.
this is how we roll. You check things. You can go to the interwebs, or you can go to the app on your phone.
That's right.
And as I'm looking at the landing page of whchurch.org, the Beast of Perpetual Ascendancy.
It is. Okay. See, I got it wrong here. So if I've already got that wrong, I am not optimistic about this summary at all.
Who knows what this summary is going to entail?
Yeah, right.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. We'll see. All right. Let's see what you got, Dan.
All right. So here's the summary. So potassium ions are charged when the neurotransmitter is communicated.
Oh my God.
No. I'm kidding. We'll do it. So yeah, we're at chapter 13, and listen, Greg's got one more sermon left before the end of the series. So he's got to finish 13 in just one more sermon. So I think I'm, justified in saying that we're moving faster. 3 sermons on a whole chapter? I mean, that's nothing by our standards. So we are moving, and I would recommend keeping your hands in the vehicle at all times. Now, he started off this sermon by, he thanked Shawna and I, and he gave some praise to Shawna, myself, and Cedric, which I thought was the best part of the sermon. But I'm biased. And then he just basically he wants to say 2 things about really this first beast. Still, he wants to look at that, and the 2 things he wants to say is that the first beast, it's no longer operating, because like in John's day, John saw this first beast as the Roman Empire. And so it was this isolated thing. This is where the beast was at work. Well, now it's no longer isolated in that one empire, but it is global, and that's the vision that John casts. And what's interesting about that is that now this is the first time in world history, the last 40 to 50 years, where there is this real sense in which all of these empires are interconnected, largely through, and this is the second point he brings up, through this globalized industrial sort of economic complex is what it is. We're all integrated economically with one another, and the effectiveness or the success of one country benefits those around, and vice versa, where the downfall of one economy can really take down other economies with it, because we're all so intimately interconnected. And he just kind of talked about how this leads to certain problems, because now this beast of ascent that motivates this drive for more and more and more has been systematized at this global level, and so what you see is you have this spirit of ascent down in the members of all of these different communities and countries. And so you see this in definitely in inflation, and you see this in this, some of the examples to use were, that for instance, the size of our houses have crept up over the last 150 years and so forth. And, there is only so much that this earth can produce. And yet this economic system is sort of built, it depends on growth. But how the problem is how can you have perpetual growth, that is infinite growth, on a finite planet? Eventually something is going to break, and it could break hard is the argument that he has there. He shared a lot of other sort of discussion about that, and just more evidence, and but just kind of painting this picture that whether this is the end times or anything like that, he doesn't say, but he wouldn't. I mean, it's reckless to kind of make those claims, I think, and I think Greg agrees. But he is saying that what we're seeing is reflected in what John is prophesying, and this might just be yet another iteration of the same thing that we've seen over the years, but each iteration gets more and more attuned to this prophecy that John gives us. And so I thought Greg did a great job of just kind of showing what that might look like. And the way that he asked it in the sermon, I thought was great, is he describes this beast. And then he asks the question, where do we see this beast today? And this is such a simple question, yet I think it's important because I think when we read, we tend to think, okay, this was a long time ago, and it's a prophecy, but it's this old prophecy, and it's easy to say, well, where do we see these things today? And it's easy to think of like 666, the mark of the beast, and you can start thinking about like, I don't know, UPC codes and stuff like that. But this question, I think, is more interesting as it relates to this Beast of Perpetual Ascent, because that is more of like a spirit. That is more about our character. And so I thought that was a great way to start it off. And then, so he paints this dire picture of kind of how the danger that we are in, because this first beast has taken this tight grasp on the global economy and has drawn all of these nations together in its upward and impossible quest. And it's this quest that's doomed to fail. And then Greg ends, well, what do we do about this? And he said that, well, the first thing is we have to place all of our hope in the Lamb. And that is the teaching of the book of Revelation. It just know, and as your sermon put it, the Lamb has conquered. The Lamb has won. The war is over. We can put our faith and our hope in that Lamb. As bad as it might look here and now, this is the light. This is our way through. And then the second thing he said is that we need to get off of the dopamine hamster wheel. And what I think he's getting at there is that this one of the major fuels for this ascent and this desire for more is just the dopaminergic kind of rush. That is the good feeling of getting something that you want, and wanting things and pursuing it. And a lot of times that ends up being selfish, self-centered, hedonistic. And a lot of times it can fuel this spirit of ascension. It's sort of an addiction where we want better and more, and that doesn't have to mean a yacht. It could just mean more and more convenience and less labor, and less more labor saving devices, and just all of that kind of obsessive desire for convenience, and so it could be a lot of things, but it's just that more. And so he encourages us to get off that dopamine hamster wheel, and that could look different for everybody, and it will look different for everybody. But I thought that was a good takeaway. So that is kind of my summary. Oh, and the other thing he said is just, as you get into this unsustainable, impossible spirit of ascent, there's this sense in which it's really it's structured in a way that it sucks if you're not moving along with it, and it sucks to be destitute in this type of world. And he talked about the shark, where the shark has to always be moving just to breathe. It's like this prison of activity. And that's sort of what it feels like in this spirit of ascent, where we always have to be working and saving and investing and otherwise we become destitute, and it's tragic. For all manner of speaking, we die. And so, yeah, that is sort of my summary. The answer is put all of our hope in the Lamb and work to get off of the dopamine hamster wheel. What did you think of Greg's sermon? And what else should I ask you about this? Do you feel like, in particular, this, normally I don't do this. I don't know why I feel this way, but given your sermon, how do you feel like his sermon related to yours?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Dan, and I will answer that. But first, I just wanted to give a shout out to the Sunday as a whole, because it was just a fun time. And I hope that came through on the live stream, but from having the mighty revivals lead us in worship, which is always a time. And then I felt like I honestly did enjoy Greg's sermon. And then afterwards we had our coffee and connections time, which was just really great. And I saw you buzzing around talking to different people. That's always so fun. And then we I'm going to say our gathering groups, some folks from there gathered online to participate in coffee and connections as well. So that was it was a fun time. I think in the midst of a sober wake up call, it was good to be surrounded by the people of God in all the ways on Sunday. So yay. Shout out to everyone who was able to engage in all of that. How do I feel that Greg's sermon tied back to mine? You know what? You never know when you deliver what you sense God leading you to say for a sermon. You don't know. I mean, yes, it's a series, and we talk and we hope that it kind of flows together, but that's never a guarantee. And so, honestly, I have been pleasantly surprised because one of the, I think, main thrusts of what I shared a few weeks ago came from First Peter chapter 5. And I that is a verse that I have read 1,000,008 times. I have heard taught. I have taught. I know it. We reference it, but for some reason it came alive in a different way for that sermon. And I think it's so fascinating because the version that I used, it said be clear-headed, and then you guys both the version was be sober-minded, which is the same, but it just takes on a whole nother perspective and layer of meaning, and I love it. I love it. And so, it is because it's not about me. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, it's really cool that, this has kind of carried on, through your sermon and then through Greg's sermon. And I think that's because God he's speaking something, and we need to pay attention. It's like, hey, be on guard, be aware. Don't, be intoxicated by what is untrue. Be alert, be clear-headed, be sober-minded. Because the enemy he's trying to do some shenanigans, like I like to say, but the Lamb has overcome, and we need to hang our hat on that. And so I've loved seeing the progression of that through the last several weeks. And honestly, I know that Greg said, at the front end of his sermon, they're like, hey, this is going to be hard for some people to hear. And this is going to be, and yes, there are some things there that it's like, oof, we need to be aware and be paying attention and be mindful. But at the same time, I just felt really encouraged, honestly. I did. I felt really encouraged because two things can be true. Yes, there is this beast that is just trying to fool us all and to get us, to misguide us and to direct us towards the wrong things. And he does seem to have some authority, but we know the outcome. We know the end. We know that this beast is truly, as with all the damage that the beast can do, it's truly just a chicken with its head cut off, like spazzing around before the ultimate death.
What does a chicken with its head cut off look like again? I can't remember. Could you remind me?
I think it's just kind of like, I don't know. I've never seen it. I never want to see it, but that's what I've been told. That it looks like.
That it's weird because that also looks like the Humpty Dance. I don't know if you remember that in the 90s.
I did.
It's very similar, yes.
Oh, one and the same. So I don't know. I am always like, here's my thing. I don't want to sneak attack. I don't want to be like start, I like being warned and being reminded to stay alert. And I want to know what could befall me. And so call me crazy, I found this sermon to be quite encouraging. And here's the deal. I don't fear the last days. I don't fear Christ's return because wow, all the crap is going to go away. Like, right, all things are going to be restored, and we'll finally be able to see what was meant to be when creation happened. And so I just think it's really wise just to pay attention to the tricks of the enemy. Trick of the enemy, as they say back from where I'm from. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm rambling now. I was encouraged. I thought it was great. And I love how toward the end, he asks the question, like, how do we resist this beast? What does this look like? And it is, putting all of our hope in the Lamb and hopping off that dopamine hamster wheel. And so that is, you're right, going to look so different for each of us, depending on what it is that entices us. And it's just really good just to be taking that inventory, just seeing, do we have things, or do these things have us? And, I just think that's great. And then he said to create more time for family, for friends, for community, for nature, the things that are really meaningful in life. Don't just fill our lives so full with getting more and more and more and more and more, because that is the work of the beast. And as we're getting more and more and more and more and more, science tells us, psychology tells us, experts and thinkers of the world tell us that thinkers of the world tell us that we have never been more isolated, lonely, or polarized. And so something's not working. So let's just stop all that and get about the business of what's truly meaningful and what really matters. And that's shining the kingdom light.
That's right. Well said. Well said. I think that's right. Well, and it is cool though that when you did your sermon and you did talk about that First Peter passage, it's cool that you shared that, and then both Greg and I would just kind of zeroed in on that. Like, yes, that is the right verse for where we're at right now in this chapter. And it's pretty cool when you have independent people who kind of play off of one another's sermons like that. It's super fun. I just I really enjoy that. So and like you said too, it might be indicative of like maybe God is trying to tell us something there in all of that. So
I think so, and I think it's cool that we are modeling that listening and learning to love together. And now apparently we're learning to detox together.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what Greg said. So I think that's really good. And I had another thought that I was going to ask you about, but it left me. So maybe it'll come back.
Yeah, I hope so, because we did not get any questions yet on this sermon. So hopefully that will come. There was something. Oh, I was going to say that it was really fascinating when he talked about these kind of secular, he calls them collapsologists. Which is, an interesting title. But anyway, he talks about how they refer to this global system as a beast, and they refer to him as, some of them refer to it as Moloch, which is referring to this Canaanite god in the Old Testament. And like Greg said, that's about as close as you can expect a secular scientist to come to basically affirming what the scripture says. And but to me, it just it offers validation for the coherence and the sense. And I don't mean sense like sensation. I mean like the rationality of the book of Revelation. And I think that's important because it's such a crazy book. And when you see that reinforcement and that confirmation, boy, that really the craziest stuff, and I haven't thought about this, and I'm just thinking about this now, but the craziest stuff in the book of Revelation is largely about the wicked things that Satan does. I mean, that's just the craziest stuff. And the fact that science is offering this support for that, the craziest stuff, it lends instant validation to the hopeful stuff of Revelation. If the crazy, wicked stuff is seeing validation, well, then how much more valid are the hopeful ponderings of John and the hopeful promises of John in this book of Revelation? And to me, that's also encouraging. And I've never thought of it that way before until just now, but I'm cool.
So glad you said that, because that was actually what I was kind of thinking. I was like, how wild is it that at the time when John had this, psychedelic vision that many of us have admitted to avoiding for a lot of our theological lives, but now feel led to dive into, like, for that time, what the warnings and the admonishments were very real and for a particular set of communities, and very true and very relevant. And now to think all these years later, how much more true and more relevant, it's wild to me, and it blows me away. And I'm not talking, you guys have to know this, I'm not talking in the sense of, trying to pinpoint and see, oh, the beast means, and that means this and da-da-da, and that means Christ is coming back and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And, 2,000 reasons why he's coming back in 2026 or whatever. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is the admonishment, the encouragement, the warnings were very, very relevant. And the original hearers, like, they got it, they understood it, they knew. But I feel like just as much, if not more so now, like, these admonishments, these warnings, but also this encouragement is so relevant. And it's wild to me. It is wild to me that the world meant this for John, but now the world means this for us. And that is wild. I don't know. I'm just kind of blown away by it all.
Yeah.
And now my arms are tired.
Yeah.
And let me just say, call me an apologist. I'm sorry. But I just want to say, and I felt like Greg made this point, but sometimes people miss it. At least I was hearing, listen, a lot of good has come from the global industrial complex, right? Like, there have been many good people and many good companies trying to put forth things that make our lives better. And that is one, like Greg said, I would not want to live way back when. I would not have the life that I have now if it were, back yonder. But what is also true is that growth drives the whole thing, and with growth comes the desire for profit. And so that's just a reality. And we're not saying, go live in the dark and don't have running water and don't use any technology. Like, please, we couldn't be doing this show. We couldn't do live stream. There's so much we couldn't do. So that's not what's being said. But what is being said is just to recognize that there is a machine that's running, and yes, stuff is good, but there's also some stuff that the intentions aren't great and the fallout isn't great. And just to be aware of that and don't play into that. So be mindful, be wise with how we are functioning and operating in this, global, what's it called? Industrial complex. We're also interconnected. So that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
That is all I have.
All right. Well, good news is we're going to get to the second beast coming up.
That's right.
And so we will close out chapter 13 this coming weekend. Yay. And you know what? Believe it, you guys, you're not going to believe this. But do you know what comes next? Dan Kent, do you know what comes next after chapter 13? Yes. Yeah. Christmas. Can you believe it?
Yeah, I need to get my little Christmas lights and my Danta hat and all of that.
Yeah.
I gotta get all that ready.
I got to get rid of the pumpkins, and I got some shifting around to do to get prepared.
I like that. I like that ampersand that you have. That's nice.
Yeah, thank you.
That would go good with, I've got my little collection of grammar icons. And
I've seen.
Do I have an ampersand?
I've not seen an ampersand.
So
no.
I'll have to get one of those. So,
we'll have to get you one of those. Yeah.
I have Yeah, it is an ampersand. What's the at symbol? Is there a special name for that? I wonder. It's just the at
At.
symbol.
I just call it
Yeah.
at.
All right.
We'll, we'll have to get the research team on that to
Yeah.
see if there's an official name. But
Yes.
yeah, wild. We are going to close out Revelation 13. We're going to put Dragon Slayers to bed, and then woohoo, holly jolly Christmas is coming.
That's right.
And then it's the new year, and oof,
hey,
we're just rolling along.
That reminds me, we got this weekend service. It might be like 13, 14 weeks before we return to Revelation. So get your fill now, because you're gonna it's a Revelation desert until February. So
you're gonna feel like you're in a Revelation famine. You're gonna be begging us to get back to Revelation. All right, Dan Kent. Hey, I appreciate you and all the work that you do. People, they see a lot of what you do, but there's a whole lot more that you do that they don't see. And I'm just here to say thank you. I appreciate you.
That's sweet. That's sweet. Yeah. Well, and I love doing it. So
yeah, I can tell. It's good stuff.
I do.
I feel like you also love. I do. I feel like you also love Nugget Time. Okay, I have to tell you this. Someone approached me on Sunday during Coffee and Connections, and they were like, talking about MuseCast, how much they love it. And they were like, you can tell, like, Shawna, you dance. And Dan, it looks more like he's exercising.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I cannot deny that.
We're pretty like copacetic with our nugget dance.
Yeah. No, there's a vibe. There's a different vibe that you have. You have more style. I think that's part of it. So
all right. Well, listen, Shawna is a cheater, pumpkin eater, because my
so you have to go
nugget
first.
is a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'll go first. I'll do the prayer, and then you will do the proper nugget.
Well, yeah, and you only get half credit too. I don't know who's keeping track of credit, but in
the heavenlies, there's a big scoreboard, a nugget scoreboard. Okay. Yep. All right. Awake now to the reality. Abba, I am awake to the reality of your emerging and eternal life happening right now in the depth of my being. I feel connected to all people and to you in whom I live and move and have my being. My present and eternal existence is assured through this union. And so I give thanks to both know and feel these beautiful truths. Amen. Yeah. And I don't know, that prayer just resonated with me with all that we're talking about. And so I thought I'm going to share it with the MuseCast peeps.
Yeah. Well, that was good. Even though it's cheating, it was still very good. It was very good. Well, and what I liked about that is just that, talking about getting back in touch with that kind of deep self kind of thing. And that's, I think, kind of the direction I want to go to, because the antidote to ascension is something like getting more internal and being content with, what you have instead of getting more. And and I think a lot of that the ability to do that, the ability to get off the hamster wheel, is to kind of find, joy and gratitude in something that you already possess, because so much of the hamster wheel is about attaining something that you don't yet have. And so, this is that more. And so I think my nugget is related to that, and that is to take time to just like go through your, if you live in a house or an apartment or, wherever you're at, whatever your possessions are that you have with you, take time to just like appreciate those things and try to use the, I know people who have garages and they can't park their car in the garage because they have so much stuff in there, and it's like they have more stuff than they could possibly use. Like you only have one life, you can't do everything. And so I just think that it's so good to go through the stuff that you have and to find the things that you want to use, maybe to get rid of the stuff that you have to make choices, and to be able to make choices and say, man, I love this, I don't know, crossbow. It's a random thing, but I certainly don't want to hurt an animal, and I just never find myself going to the target range. So as much as I love it, I have all these other things I like too. I'm gonna give that away, and then find things that you just really love, and spend time with the things that you already have. For me, one of the things I've done the last 2 years is I've sort of dedicated myself to reading the books on my bookshelf, because I have so many books that I bought because I wanted to read it, and then I ended up reading something else.
Yeah.
And so I've been working really hard to actually read the books that I have on my bookshelf. And, when you start reading the books that you already have, it sort of deadens that desire to get more, because I'm really into this one now. And if you try to read it and you don't like it, well, then give that away. And just don't let it sit there doing nothing. And, I think the other thing too is it doesn't just have to be possessions. It can also be relationships. And I think like one of the things I did earlier this summer, I was looking for something and I had to pull out my old box of photos, and I just saw all these photos of these old friends, and I just remembered, I haven't talked to my friend David in a long time, and because I saw this picture, and so then I called him and reconnected with an old friend, and boy, that just really, it feels good in that deep place like your prayer talked about, and that is just a great way when you can find contentment with what you already have, and that includes relationships. Man, it just there's a sense of ease and comfort that you get from that you can't buy. And so that is my nugget.
I love it. Beautiful. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And we love to engage with you guys. So if you want to send something our way, you can do so at MuseCast@whchurch.org. Yes.
Hold on. I'm broken. Hold on a second.
All
right. Okay.
There we go. Recalibrating. Okay. We're good now. All right, folks. Thank you for being here, for being a part of this. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a wonderful week. Take care.